Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Heldt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today, our guest is David Ross, who's an estate planner with Truepoint Wealth Counsel. Welcome, David.
Thanks for having me, Gary. Excited to be here.
Tell us some about yourself and what made you get into doing estate planning.
Sure, yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm a senior estate planner, and I'm also a shareholder here at Truepoint Wealth Counsel. We're located in Cincinnati. We are a wealth management company, and my role here unique to the industry. I work with clients day in and day out on their estate planning, and not many wealth management firms have somebody on staff who's an actual attorney, who's actually practiced law, that can actually work with clients and provide advice. And so that's a little bit about kind of my area of specialty here at Truepoint. I got into estate planning about a year after I started practicing law. I spent the first year doing litigation. And the one thing I learned in practice of law is you've got to have a personality for every different area. Yeah. And my personality just didn't fit with the litigation world. I was not one that, liked the constant competition or combativeness of litigation where I'm constantly at war with another attorney, or, the clients that I worked with were being sued. They didn't want to work with me. They didn't want to be there. I really wanted to work with clients who, got the value of what I was trying to accomplish for them and had a good understanding of the services that I provided and why they needed it. And estate planning really provided that.
That's great. In doing the estate planning and things like that, can you tell us some of the mistakes that people are making when it comes to estate planning?
Yeah, there's two mistakes that really jump off and really come to mind when we think of that. The first thing is the use of online resources. We're seeing more and more out there, these online, resources where it's, $100 for an estate package, or, hey, you pay us a certain amount of money, we'll refer you to an attorney somewhere and they'll draft a document. In my opinion, it's kind of a mistake. Those packages are not tailored for the client. They are, prepared for the masses, right? And so when I see those, when I'm reviewing those for clients that are coming in, I just see a lot of mistakes, see a lot of missed opportunity. I see documents that are not executed properly because you don't have a professional overseeing that. So while you're paying a little bit now and saving some money, your family's paying a lot on the back end because they've got to fix all those mistakes. And so what I say is pay a little bit now, save a lot later, The second thing is, in the world of estate planning and attorneys, unfortunately, not all are created equal. Mm-hmm. I would say another common mistake I see is working with an attorney who maybe doesn't practice in the area of estate planning day in and day out. It is a very specific, very, difficult area to work in. And if you're not working with somebody that's doing this day in and day out, keeping up with what's going on in Congress, what's going on in Washington, keeping up with that case law, things can get missed. And so the attorneys that I really find success working with are those people who really focus and specialize in that area, not ones that maybe dabble a little bit into it. I'm not saying they're not good attorneys. I'm just saying that, they may not see the complete picture.
So how can somebody find out? Because I agree with you. I mean, lots of times people think, oh, you're an attorney, so you know everything about everything. And you may know a lot about other stuff, but when it comes to the estate planning, how can people find out if this person, really does, it's their specialty?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, hire a firm like Truepoint. You're going to get me on your team, somebody who has that experience. I got 17 years of experience in this area. So I can talk to somebody an attorney and realize within a couple minutes whether or not, they're dabbling in the area or they're really, really specializing. But, the other thing is just research, online profiles on websites, law firms, I think are pretty telling. If that area of law is if there's nothing mentioned about estate planning, that means they're probably not focusing there. Or maybe there's 10 different, areas of specialty and estate planning is one of them. Maybe that's not it as well. And then, peer review, talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, see who they're working with, see what their experiences have been. And I think that's pretty helpful as well.
I think it's one of the things that you said earlier, the online services that are out there. Lots of times, from a business standpoint, I see people using those services to set their business up. And like you said, it's never done properly. And lots of times the documents aren't executed. And then, when they need them, then they don't have them. And it does cause more trouble. And you're right. It's like spend a little bit of money now because it's going to save you a whole lot more later on.
Yeah. I mean, fixing something that's done not properly, especially if somebody who's passed away. I mean, in a lot of cases, you can't fix it. It is what it is.
Right.
But, when you can, it's very complicated and it's expensive. So it's better to do it right, do it with the right person right up front.
Yeah. So once you put a plan together for somebody, are you done? I mean, what kind of happens then?
No, I mean, you're never done. And I think that's one of the things I love about my role is when I was practicing law, I think in most cases, I was done. I met with clients. I met with them for an hour or two, got to know them a little bit, figured out what their goals were, put a package together. They came and signed it, and then never saw them again. Maybe it wasn't because maybe they didn't like me or anything like that. But, there's this, there's a, reputation that attorneys have that we bill everything. Like you pick us up on the phone and we're billing you, right? And so people don't want to come back because they're afraid they're going to get billed. And they think what I did 5 years ago it fits them now. In my role today, it's an ongoing process. And that's the thing I love about it is my clients have hired my firm to work with them on every area of their financial well-being. And estate planning is one of those. And so we make it a point to sit in front of our clients every 2 years, and in some cases every year, and we review their estate plan. We talk to them, okay, this may just be a refresher for you today. No changes are needed, but we want you to make sure you understand what you have in place. Or like what's been happening over the past couple of years, like we had Secure Act. This year we've got a lot of the changes, those impact our clients. And while attorneys are sending out letters saying, hey, this might impact you, clients are not responding to those, but they're responding to the conversation we're having because they're not paying me anything extra. Right. I'm coming with, their fee they're paying Truepoint, and there's this they're comfortable giving me a call, talking to me for an hour about that. And then I can educate them of like, yeah, we really do need to talk to your attorney. We really need to get them to update this. And here are the reasons why we need to do that.
Right. So what are some of the questions when people are coming in to see you? What are some of the questions that, people aren't asking that you wish that they would?
I thought about this question, you sent a couple of these, ahead of time. I thought about this question, and, we do a really good job of identifying the questions, that our clients should be asking. And so we're very proactive with that. There's one question that I wish clients would ask more because I see it on their face. Estate planning is complicated. I do this day in and day out. I'm sure you have a lot of experience with it as well. We get it, right? It's easy for us to understand these concepts. But when you're not dealing with this every day, it's complicated and you may not understand it first time. And so I see these blank faces on my clients sometimes, and I know they're not getting it, right? But they don't ask the question, hey, can you explain that to me again? I'm not quite understanding it. And I wish clients would ask that more. Now, over 17 years, I've gotten pretty good about identifying when a client's not getting it. And so, I have an idea, of the, how to kind of go back and readdress it. But there's some cases where they say, yeah, I get it. But then at the end of the day, they're really not. And I wish they would, clients would just be honest and just say, hey, can you explain it again? Sure, let's do it. I have no problem with that. So that's one question I really wish I would hear more often.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's very important because I know lots of times, when I talk to clients, we're doing their taxes or whatever, and I ask them about their estate plan. Lots of times they're like, I don't know, I got that binder sitting at home. And you're right, it's like they don't understand it. And I think the more that they understand it, the better relationship you're going to have with them, because at that point they know, okay, I understand this and I did this, so it's probably going to change my plan. So I need to call David and get it straight with them. So
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty important there. What are some of the fears that your clients are having, before I'm going to say before they come in to talk to you? Because I know once they get there, then they'll be calm.
Yeah, I think the biggest fear is really, is my family going to be taken care of? I think that's number one on every client's list is if I pass away, is my spouse going to have the ability to continue to live the lifestyle they're accustomed to? If both of us pass away, will my children be taken care of? And that's really question number one we ask our clients. We do something called life planning here at Truepoint, and it's something where we really try to dive down and kind of address and identify those values and those beliefs of our clients, and that really helps us become better advisors. And that's just a question that we always ask is, if something happens to you, what's your number one goal? Sometimes the both of you, like how do you want your kids to be taken care of? Let's accomplish that goal first. Let's worry about all the tax planning second. Let's just worry about taking care of your family. And I think that's number one on our clients' minds.
Yeah. And this is going to be the question that I think that a lot of people ask. Why do I need to do an estate plan?
Yeah.
Why is it important?
Yeah, well, it's important we could probably be here all day.
Right.
But, I'll just, touch on a couple of things. I think it's important just to have a plan in place. We talked a little bit more about, earlier about, spending a little bit now will save you a lot later. Well, without an estate plan in place, there's no plan. And so your family then all of a sudden has this complicated process of, transferring assets through probate court, which is time consuming, extremely expensive. And, it's just a huge burden when you can do some planning up front to eliminate that entire process. Probate's anywhere from 9 to 15 months, and so in some cases, maybe those assets are not even available to the surviving spouse or children for that period of time. In most cases, we can get around that, but, sometimes you just can't. And so, that's one reason. And then, everybody really associates estate planning with death.
Right.
But part of it is during your life as well. What happens if you become incapacitated for whatever reason? If you don't have a healthcare power in place, if you don't have a financial power of attorney in place, well, there's nobody there to help you with that decision making when you can't do it for yourself. And so the alternative is, once again, probate court, guardianships, burdensome. You don't really want to have to do that in an emergency situation. And oh, by the way, who's going to be that person that's going to step into that role? If you have these documents in place, you've nominated somebody, you've nominated the right person, and that person, you can feel, you have this peace of mind that person is going to do the right thing for you.
Yeah. Now, if somebody says, "Oh, well, I don't need an estate plan because I have a will," can you explain to our listeners kind of the difference between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that a will is enough in the situation where maybe you're single, there's no children in place. Most of what you own is something you can name a beneficiary for. But in most cases, I think a trust is going to be the right way to go, especially if you are, if you have minor kids. The way it works in most states is that, if the parents pass and assets pass down to children who are under the age of 18, there's this guardianship in place until they reach the age of 18. And at the age of 18, that terminates. And so everything that's in that guardianship all of a sudden becomes the assets of that child. And a lot of people have life insurance, they have IRAs, they've got houses. That can be a lot of money, going into the hands of that 18-year-old. And I don't know about you, Gary, but I know when I was 18, I probably would have blew that money pretty quick, right? So you can have these trusts put in place to where you can, govern that from, people say govern it from the grave, which I don't really like that term, but it's really truly kind of what it is. And you can structure it to where those kids are taken care of, they're getting the assets, they're getting supported, they're getting it for their college, but it's not being all dumped in their plate to where they have this full control. There's somebody there really helping them management. manage it. And, you can keep that in place until whatever age. For most of our clients, we do recommend lifetime trust just because you can secure creditor, divorce protection, and those types of things. But that's not always, the most, effective way of doing it for a particular client.
So I think that's an important point right there, what you just said, because that's not necessarily the right thing for every client. And I think that so many times people think that it's more of a cookie cutter approach, and the fact that, okay, well, whatever you do for them is going to be the same for me, and it's not. And I think that's something that's really important, for people to understand.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing right now?
In terms of estate planning, I think the challenges are the online solutions that are out there. I think it's just the education to the general public, to our clients, of why, a will and a trust for $69 isn't the right way to go.
Right.
I think that's a challenge. As a organization that maybe we're not quite as big as many of the others out there, our marketing reaches so far, right? And so we have to truly, be efficient with our education on that topic. And I think we do a really, really good job of that. There's also a little bit of a change in environment just in the financial, wealth planning industry, I guess, as a whole. What we're seeing is a lot of, bigger firms, kind of buying a lot of smaller firms.
Right.
And so how do you compete with these huge, wealth management firms? I think that's just a changing dynamic in the industry. And then finally, probably technology. We're very good with technology. In fact, we got through COVID because we were forward thinking from our technology standpoint, and we really never missed a beat. We were set up for that kind of a scenario where we're all sent home and we have to serve our clients. And I think that's going to be becoming, more and more important. It's going to be always evolving and, always taking advantage of the next tech thing out there. And if you don't have a good tech team, you're probably going to fall behind.
Yeah. Now, have you guys, during the pandemic, and then now, theoretically we're dealing with the second version of this, are you guys still meeting people in person? What's going on there with you guys?
So through the peak of COVID, it was all Zoom. It was all online. Our client, and we never skipped a beat. Our clients never felt like, in fact, we did a survey, recently, and I think 95% of our clients said that we exceeded expectations through COVID. So we were very successful. Now it's changed a bit. It's more of what is the preference of the client. Last week I was in here meeting with a client for a couple hours. That particular client wanted us to wear masks, even if we were vaccinated.
Right.
Totally fine. No big deal. There are other clients that they don't want to come in. They just feel more comfortable with the Zoom. That may be because of COVID, or it just may be because it's more efficient. There's no driving to and from the office and those types of things. So we're at a point where we're leaving it up to our clients. Zoom's successful for us, but we do love for the clients to come in so we can have that personal, interaction with each one of them.
Yeah. I mean, we pretty much have done the same thing. I mean, we've opened back up to having appointments here, but a lot of the clients liked Zoom because, just like you said, you don't have that traveling, back and forth. And a lot of them, they can, during their lunch hour or whatever, we can get on a call. Then that way they don't have to take part of the day off to come here and stuff like that. So it's definitely, I think the businesses that got on board with it right away are finding that they're being way more efficient now than they were before.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it is still nice to have the clients come in and actually be able to shake their hand and see them. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's pending legislation out there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to the clients that are calling you up and panicking right now about this?
Well, I think it's important to take a look at each client's particular situation, right? There are clients that will see the news, they'll see these changes. And once again, it goes back to, educating each individual client of how these potential changes could impact them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to impact a particular client differently than another client, right? So for example, yesterday I was on the phone with a client north of $35 million in terms of net worth. And one of the things I did for them is I created a little spreadsheet that really outlined, okay, here's the estate tax impact for you today. This is what you would pay in tax if you died tomorrow. Here's what it is if the exemption decreases by half. It's a significant bump for you. And then we identified 4 different strategies for them that they could implement that's going to help reduce that impact, and really laid it out for them in a way that was really easy for them to understand what that looked like, what are the benefits of that, and really what that looks like in terms of implementing that strategy. But then I have other clients that have reached out and said, how does this impact me? And the call's been very short. It doesn't.
Right.
Don't worry about it. And if it did, we would have already been calling you and letting you know that it's going to impact you, because we've kind of looking at this for the entire year, and we've been very proactive with contacting those clients that we're going to have more of the significant impact. Unfortunately, as we don't have any idea what's going to happen here in the next few months.
You mean that crystal ball over there isn't working real good?
Boy, I wish I had one. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no idea. Beginning of the year, we thought it was a certainty that these changes are going to be made. And, Bernie Sanders put in place all these massive changes. And, a lot of that's changed over the past six to 9 months. And so, we'll see what happens. But, for those that it will impact, for those who are the higher net worth clients that we know, no matter what happens, they're going to be in a taxable situation. Those are the ones that really need to be working on it, by year end. For those that are, in the situation where it may or may not impact them, I think it's a little bit more of a wait and see approach.
Yeah. I feel the same. I think sometimes you just need to kind of sit still until something is actually passed, and then we can react to it. But I think one of the things that's important that you guys are doing, though, is you are still reaching out to the clients, because there are going to be some people that are affected by this, but you're reaching out and you're helping them change their plan. And I think that that's something that's important that people need to understand. An estate plan, you're not just taking that book or binder or whatever, putting it on the shelf and leaving it there, and then somebody pulls it out when you die. You need to kind of go through it and make sure that you're getting it updated for the things that are happening, not only in legislation, but in your life itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one really great thing about Truepoint, is that we really truly believe that estate planning is an important component of that financial health, right? And so we've got 4 of us here on staff that's what we do day in and day out. Right. And we're meeting with our clients, and we're being very proactive because we want them to have a plan that really works for them, achieves their goals, but also is current with the current law, right? And so it's a lot easier for us to get in front of our client and say, hey, Secure Act happened. Your trust says this. All of a sudden, all these IRA assets that you were going to creditor and protect for the lives of your kids, well, now that's only in place for 10 years. Right. How do you feel about that? Let's talk about that. And then, most clients we're seeing is, well, I don't like that. Okay, well, here's what we can do to change it. But you're going to have to bring in your attorney to draft an amendment to your trust. Are you okay with that? Well, yeah, because that money I'm going to spend there, it's value to me, And so we're in a really good position. We have that trust of our clients. We have that ability to see them routinely and really get in front of them and do those types of things. And the same applies for any kind of changes, especially what's going on in Congress.
Yeah, I agree. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got started doing this?
I think, when I first started doing this, I think I took a more of a transactional approach to it, and I think that's just the nature of the profession, right? I mentioned, clients come in, you talk to them, let's fix their problems, let's draft the documents, and they're gone, right? But when I joined Truepoint, I realized that it was more than that. It's a relationship type industry. And for me to be really good at my role, it had to be more than just fixing the client's problems. It had to be getting to know them, getting to know their family, getting to know what their wishes are, their dreams, their goals, in this particular area. Right. And that's truly helped me become a much better advisor. And so I wish my, naive young self at 24, when I first started practicing, realized that, because I think I would have been a better attorney. But I am definitely a better advisor today because of that.
Yeah, I think what you just said is important, because in the finance arena, there are so many people that's exactly what it is. It's transactional. And I think it's important that you build a relationship with, your trusted advisors. And I think that's
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
Asked you a bunch of questions. You gave us a bunch of information so far. What did I not ask you that you wish I did?
You know, I think we pretty much covered it. I think, don't be afraid,
Right.
estate planning really is, it's a necessary thing. What they say is, there's two guarantees in life, right? Death and taxes.
Right.
And so because of that, an estate plan really truly is necessary for everybody really over the age of 18. And, don't be afraid to ask those questions. Is why do I need an estate plan? If I don't have one already, don't be afraid to ask, why do I need one? Do I really need one? How's it going to benefit me? And don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money to put that in place. The peace of mind you're going to get at the end of the day, it's well worth it. And I think maybe the other thing is when you're looking for, somebody to, help manage your wealth, make sure you do the research, research a variety of different companies. Make sure you're hiring somebody that's the right fit, somebody that truly is going to, build that relationship with you, somebody that's really going to cover all the bases. Like I said, one thing that's super unique here at Truepoint is we have a team that's just dedicated to estate planning. A lot of other financial institutions tell you they do it, but they don't have that in-house expertise that's meeting with you and talking to you and being that resource. And, it's really important that you're covering all the bases. And so just do your research when you're doing it. And, I'm a little bit biased, but Truepoint's a really good place to be. Let me tell you.
That's great. So if our listeners like what they've heard and they want to be able to reach out to you and talk to you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website's truepointwealth.com, truepointwelth.com. You should be able to, reach me through there. I have my profiles on the website, and I think my email address and everything there is there as well.
Okay, great. So we appreciate your time today and all the wisdom that you've given the listeners today. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me, Gary. Thank you.
Sure. So today our guest was David Brosh, who is the estate planner with Truepoint Wealth Counsel. Thank you.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.